All right, guys, welcome to another interview in Coach's Corner with Coach JT. And I'm here with a special guest today who's absolutely incredible, a woman that you definitely need to know, but she's going to tell you like it is, Cheri Naudin. And she's the founder and owner of Collegiate Sports Advocate, or better known in her network as CSA. Why don't you tell us who you are, Cheri?
Awesome. Thank you, JT. I appreciate the opportunity. I am Cheri Naudin. It's pronounced a little different, but I am the owner. I founded it over 10 years ago, literally on the issues that were going on in sports, which is so many companies out there, everybody taking a nickel and a dime and really not focused on the end result. So I'm an ex-corporate America person, 28 years in telecom, and just very much process and results oriented. So I really built a program that was foundational on my past experiences, on my knowledge of the sport. I've coached softball. I was a catcher trainer. I was a slapper trainer. And I also coached 10 and under for 15 years, which I love the 10U. But I learned about the parents in 10U, which is really the end of my coaching also happened in 10 and under. But I developed this also learning. I have three of my own children that went through the process, and two of the three ended up being collegiate sports advocates, not in my company, but that's really where the name came from, is that you really need to advocate for these kids through the process. They each have their own student athletic accomplishments and academic. And finding that is really, really an art. I feel like it's a gift, that it's something that has been given to me, the ability to understand. And so I bottled it, I put it in a program that has been extremely successful now for 10 years. And we just keep wanting to take it out to more and more student athletes.
Yeah, so sorry, Nadine. I got it
That's
now.
okay. We're
Okay,
good.
and I have introduced you to the my daughter's uh, softball coach, her comps coach, because his daughter is a junior, and they're using the same process that every softball kid in America goes through with the four-letter acronym. We won't say
Hmm.
on this call, but he is going to reach out to you for sure, and I'll
Awesome.
tell him that I pronounced your name wrong. I
Oh, you're
apologize.
totally fine. It looks the way you said it. I get it. It's Hispanic in origin, but French in real origin. So there's a history lesson for you.
Yeah, very good. So we've had a conversation, and I'm super excited. As you know, my daughter's going on scholarship to college here this fall, but in softball, that's her back there, and I'm super excited about that. Obviously, I'm going to miss her a ton, but when we were talking, what I realized was the accepted way of getting your college and your potential college athlete into camps, into showcases, and the stories that are told may not be exactly the way it works, or the agenda might not be what you think it is. Can you
Correct.
talk to us more about that?
100%. I literally flipped the script on the process, because number one, the decision maker for your student athlete's opportunity is a college coach. You and I could think what we want, and your daughter can have her dream school all day long, but who actually makes a decision is a college coach. So I spend enormous amounts of time calling college coaches, seeing what's going on, understanding their issues, what type of player. It's more of that personal fit at that point, but understanding their talent level. Nothing grinds a coach more than somebody saying, "Hey, coach, I got a kid that can play for you." One, you've never seen them play, you have no idea who they are, and you have no content or context to helping that coach understand that talent. So I do follow the NCAA rules, which is email. I teach them how to email, when to email, why to email, and we get feedback because we understand the timing for each student athlete that's in the process. So for a parent, or it's usually a parent that goes out there and tries to self-market their student athlete on social media, we've only been doing highlights on social media for the last 4 years. I have numerous coaches call and say, "Thank you for the skill videos that you put out." because we're not sitting at our desk going through Twitter looking to hope to find the most marketed kid in America. It doesn't mean that some don't get some exposure that way, but 99%, and you can go back on my media tab on my page. I have lots of Twitter lives and podcasts where coaches will come on and tell you it's 99% chance of no if we're seeing content on social media that's just globally thrown out there for the world to see. And so it seems natural. I'm a marketer. It seems natural to want to put whatever you want to put out there. But does your decision maker want it? And that's the $1,000,000 question. So what the NCAA tells you, which is in support of the college coaches, they do want a deeper dive on you at some point. They do want you in a camp at some point. But if you're just pushing the finger on the button for where you want to go, and you're just showing up and you're spending hundreds of dollars. I'm based in Texas. For a kid to get on a plane to the East Coast or the West Coast, that's a lot of money for one camp. And you're talking hundreds of kids, sometimes 40, sometimes hundreds. And then how many they host a year. You start doing the math on that, JT, and not only does the parent stack up a huge bill for the amount of time and money they spent, but you're not getting feedback. You won't get feedback during the evaluation process, which is really 8th grade and 9th grade. You won't get that feedback. You won't get any redirection till it's already starting to layer out, right? So once September comes for the recruitable class, they've already been in the process. And people are like, well, no, we don't get in the recruiting process till our junior year. And I'm like, no, you're missing it. You go back on the NCAA's thing, they actually have a picture of a pyramid that shows you have to get evaluation. And they do say camps. And I do think camps are right at the right time for the right person. But most people are getting on a plane and going to, the SEC school that they see, the Big 12 school. I mean, I love them all, but they're going to that camp long before they're ready to be seen. So there really is, and people don't like to hear this, but there really is a scouting type of echelon below, or a recruiting or a evaluation process. There's, people in the streets, but that's the travel ball element of it. The college coaches know who the travel coaches are that do deliver results, that do deliver product in the end. They know who they are. They understand the layers. They know who they can trust. And I've said this one a million times. There's 5 sanctioning bodies that I deal with. There's over 51,000 registered travel ball coaches. These college coaches do not have a relationship with everybody. I don't have a relationship with everybody, but I might be 1 degree removed or 2 degrees removed, but my results will show them some substance behind the conversation that I'm having with them. I never try to sell a kid. Oh, coach, I got this kid with a 1.6 pop time. Hello, we know that's not even real, right? So that's unfortunately what some of the parents and even travel ball coaches, some with great kindness in their hearts, are out there trying to promote student athletes, but they're doing it without asking, what does the college coach want? So we flip that script. We target in, we play the layers according to their age group, when they should be seen, what layer they should be seen at. And sometimes it's too early to expose their talent level, especially to social media. I cannot tell you enough. I really believe parents are making damaging mistakes on social media. In the last 4 years, I've seen 2 kids that did really good on social media, probably got them opportunities, but I can tell you, because I've been watching them, they're not my kids. They didn't do a good job with where they landed because they're not doing well where they're at. And that's the unfortunate part. And I mean, maybe we can talk about the portal, but that's what's happening now. Is there's a lot of mismatching going on. A lot of people thought it was because of early recruiting that there was a lot of pent up issues and kids on bad rosters. Sadly, I'm not a big portal fan. It has its place. There's always been transfers, and I believe in the transfers because sometimes it's a bad fit, but it has to be for the right reason. It was about 20% in Division I last year. And the worst part is there was over 1,500 that got stuck in the portal. They keep trying to change it to give the student athlete this freedom to go. Well, what they're not understanding is the team part of it. These college coaches are going to dig in. I had one on the phone today, digging in way deeper in the quality of the parent, their lineage, where they came from in the travel ball world. I said, call the haters, call the team they left. Ask them what they think about the family and the kid and what the issues are. They're going to do a lot of a bigger dive because it's damaging to a lot of these programs. It's going to be year to year, which is scary. You need somebody like us who is an advocate that understands the business, understands the layers of the sport, understands the talent levels. And I'll insert there some of these parents, man, when they call me and they say, oh, my daughter plays A ball, C ball, B ball. You're not even in the right lane, right? You're not even playing at the talent level that's playing travel ball. Or, oh, yes, my daughter's school is that dream school. And I said, well, how would you know? Have you ever seen somebody that played there? Have you ever seen somebody in the process that is headed there? Do you play against talent level that is committed there? The answer is no, because those that are committed to those big dream schools all play each other, and they play each other all year long. They know who they are. The college coaches know who they are. So once in a great while, there might be that one kid, that diamond in a rough. I would love to know their background and see how they landed, because I haven't seen it be as great as it could have been. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no. As a coach who wants the most for my kids, what you're really opening my eyes to, Cheri, because I've been coaching for 24 plus years. Most of the time I spent in the high school and the 14 and under baseball realm most of those years. So I didn't do a lot with recruiting. When I went to high school, I knew that when I was in high school, my coach didn't care where I went to college or even if I went to college. He just cared about winning on the field that day. And I think that's something that I know for a fact that's something that I want to change. But as a parent, if I'm just a parent, I have one daughter who's playing softball and going to college. So I go through this process once, right? And as a parent, I don't have the liberty of trial and error.
Right. We
There's
made the
there's a
mistake with our first
limited
child.
yeah, there's a limited window there. So talk to us about the value of having an advocate in your corner who actually knows what she's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that compliment too. It really is something that was developed over time. Number one, I listen to the coaches. Number two, the parents don't get to talk to the coaches, and it is our own. I'm a parent. It happened to me too. We don't understand our student athletes' talent level, and we never want to hear something negative about them. We always have, I call it the excuse box going. Oh, but no, she, the testing. Oh, she just didn't study, and no, those are all excuses. It's reality, but they're excuses for where we're at. People have to understand this is a profession. There's $37 billion industry of sports youth. I think that was on a Time magazine, and I may be quoting the wrong magazine, but $37 billion industry is youth sports. And there's a lot of money grab. Everybody wants to help your kid get committed, but actually do they? And that's why I really stand on our results. We're 568 student athletes committed to, as of today. This is early May. We just got one this week. That doesn't normally happen during this time because we've been working it for a very, very long time. So you have to get in, but you have to listen. The coaches are not going to tell you. Just like the social media, we say don't tag college coaches. They don't want to be tagged. If you want to direct message them, then direct message them. Email them. Use the process that gives you that permission. Now, there's been anecdotal coaches that say, oh, I don't mind a tag. Yeah, because you're trying to build your social media. That's about you. That's not about a direct opportunity for a student athlete. Most of them call it getting hijacked. Most of them call it barfing on social media. They have some really rough words, but they go, oh, no, go ahead and tag me when they're at the camp. They don't want that. You expose yourself. So you're putting out this big, huge negative message that you don't understand what social media is and how it's to directly, get it. And honestly, I'll tell you, for the class of 25, if they're still up there spewing content, endless amounts of look at me in the cage, look at me jumping on the ball and doing my weightlifting, it starts to look desperate. And I don't mean that towards any one individual, but it starts to look desperate, because if you were doing the right things, it would show on the field. You don't need to show the work in the cages. You need to show it on the field. If you're not at the right fields, in front of the right coaches at the right tournaments, then you're in the wrong lane. And boy, I just gave you a loaded bag full of free information there.
I
But
lo-
it's
I
difficult to interpret that, right?
I like to call it gems, right? Or golden nuggets,
Yeah.
gems. I mean, in our very first conversation, you dropped so many on me. I mean, I've got 4 pages of notes, but in the short time we've talked here today, you have dropped all kinds of gems. And as a first time parent who might be viewing this on our site in our community, maybe you don't realize that, but let's talk about the value, right? I'm not going to talk exactly what Cheri charges, but let me talk about value in my personal life. Okay. So my oldest daughter is very academically inclined. I mean, she graduated with a 4.2 from Ballard Christian High School in
And high
Colorado, which,
five to her on that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's crushing it. She actually, when we were going into high school, we were going to go to the school right down the street from us because that's just what we did. You know, my wife and I growing up, you just go to the public school next to you. And she said, "Dad, they haven't sent anybody to Stanford or Yale or any of these Ivy League schools. Why would I go there?" And
Good for her.
and this is a 12-year-old kid at the time. And I said, "Okay, where do you want to go?" And she did the research and found Ballard and went there. And I'll be honest with you, it was totally worth every cent we paid for that private school, because now she's at a school, I'll tell you, the University of Denver, which is
Oh, I love it.
$78,000 a year, and she's getting that
Yep.
paid for. So
Fantastic. And congratulations to you on that. Really.
thank you. In in terms of value, I know what Cheri charges, and I can't even explain this. It's like these
Well,
sales
thank you.
it's these sales pitches you see, right? When it's like, "Oh, we do this for it's normally $5,000 and it's $10,000 for this, and it's $22,000, but we're going to give it to you for $47."
Yeah, over and over again, JT, I've been told every year by the people who actually use my services and actually dug in and did their part of the work, and I did my part of the work. They all say I didn't charge enough. But I have so many people on social media. I'm all over TikTok and Twitter and all of the sites. So many people want free information. I just handed out free nuggets, but how to apply it and how to turn it into results is where they're going to miss out. And that's the value of what we do. And I don't know how to bottle the message anymore, because I keep putting my stats out there. We had 210 kids playing in college this year. I'm like, name a travel club that has that. I don't know how else to say we understand how to get the results. Now, I'll be honest, not everybody's happy. They wanted that dream school. They wanted that place where they put their finger on it. If a parent will accept that they are not in charge of the decision, but they actually are part of actually making the final decision, and they want to, as everybody says, trust the process and understand that their kid will be where they're best suited and they're best fit, and listen to that instead of trying to drive the bus into the parking lot of their choice, they're going to be very, very happy with our services. I would say my best clients, and they're going to know who they are if they listen to this, are already professionals. Like an anesthesiologist I have in California. Her daughter's at University of Chicago. She's up for a freshman of the year. I mean, talk about value. The mom says, "I don't have time to deal with this." And she said one time to me, I love this quote. She says, "I just tell Natalie, anytime she wants to argue with me over something, then call Cheri. She's she's your advocate." And I would be literally telling her the same thing the mom says, but because she heard it from me, and I'm the professional with the results and the experience to say, "Look, you could turn left here and you can turn right here, and here's what I've seen in the past." I rarely ever tell somebody, absolutely not, that's a horrible decision. I just give insight. And I mean, I've got one right now that I know is going in the portal, sadly. I knew it was going to be a difficult fit, and I gave every symbol possible to vet out the relationship and vet out all of the decision-making criteria that's going to make it fit for that kid. Somebody else asked me, why don't I write a book? There's all kinds of books out there about recruiting. It's because the content gets old, it gets stodgy, it doesn't apply specifically to your student athlete. You can try to make it, and people say, "Oh, well, I just call the author and get feedback." They don't know your kid, they don't know your journey, they don't understand today's recruiting environment because they're not out there in the streets. They're writing books, or clinicians. I love clinicians. We can't do our job without travel ball coaches and high talented clinicians. My company just rolled out a relationship with Sierra Romero. I was her 10 and under coach, and we gave a discount to train with a pro online. What excuse do you have now to not be the best of the best, right? So it's those types of relationships and partnerships that keep growing our ability to make the right connection for your student athlete. And knowing the coaches, they change every year. I'll have over 200 addresses change. Why would I want to buy an app that has college coach names in it? It's spamming. You're not engaging yourself in the process. And I teach them how to do that. I teach them how to camp, how to go on visits, how to take a phone call from a coach, how to interact when they DM you, how to interact with a camp that comes on email. Hello, it's not a email camp environment. That's just trying to get you to come to camp. That's not recruiting through a camping environment. There's so much different language that people need to understand. You're going to spend more on camps, clinics, and driving around the country chasing it than you are through us and doing the right things every year. I tell people I'll save you my fee every year from the way you're doing it now and the cost it's going to be to you in the end. And this is a sad one. Kids will quit. Kids will quit in the end because they didn't get what they wanted, because their parents were driving them to the biggest, best universities in the country, and they didn't understand why they didn't get it, because they're in the wrong lane. It's okay. There's a place for them if we get in early enough. And that's the challenge. Waiting until this, we got 7 weeks coming up. Starting in June, we have 7 weeks. And then we have 12 days in fall for the class of 2025. That's tough, you know?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I will keep this really short. I paid way too much money to a four-letter acronym for nothing.
Google, you can
And
Google all that information.
yes, and I went to every camp they suggested we went to, none of which are the schools that were interested in my daughter. And we paid them a ton of money, and we traveled, and we were coming back from Atlanta, coming back from Oklahoma to get to these camps. And it was just a freaking crazy, because you know me, I'm an advocate for my daughter. You know,
Right.
I'm a coach. I want her to have the best. I want her to have the experience. And there were schools that I went into, and we met the coach, and we walked out of the meeting, after 5 minutes, and I said, "We don't want to go here. You don't want to
Right.
go here."
Right. And I really do think it's a family decision. And this is cliche. A lot of people say it, but I really believe it, because I am this age to actually see the end results. It's what it changes you into for 40 years. That decision for your daughter at University of Denver, the reason it costs so much is because it has value. I have all kinds of lines. You'll see me. I post out at noon every day. In fact, I put one yesterday, work on your likability. People are like, whoa, but you know what? You have to
Yeah.
work on your likability, because if you're not likable in the recruiting process, you're surely not going to be likable on the team. And sadly, you don't get to stick your feet in the ground and be, who you want to be, regardless of the effects it has on everybody else in a team environment. But one of my favorite ones is free, has the investment in the university, the investment in the process. I do not think this is a free process either. I mean, my daughter played club soccer, one of the top 8 teams in the country out of Dallas. We paid $4,000 to walk in the club,
Yeah.
and my dad was a football player in the 60s, and he said, "Oh, your kids are wasting all your money. You could pay for your education." Well, you're missing out on the best thing, which is the student athlete value after they graduate. It doesn't matter. D1, D2, my youngest daughter's a litigation attorney. Played soccer in college, went to Baylor Law School, all on the fact that she was a student athlete and learned the life skills necessary to make it when they're out. They are a 1%er of 1% of adults out there. I would hire an athlete in a second. Comparative resumes on track. But I think most hiring managers, most people in the business world would choose a student athlete over a non-student athlete.
Yeah, for all the right reasons. They're a team player. They know how to be a leader. They know how to fill their part, right? They know how to produce. That they have a good work ethic. You don't play college sports at any level if you don't have a good work ethic, right?
Yeah.
So all
And
of
you
those
just said work
things.
ethic. I want to dangle. This one's been bugging me lately. There's a lot of people. Not only do they think the process is free, but there's a lot of people that think there's shortcuts. Everybody's trying to make it shorter and quicker. Every year I compete against some new app out there, help you get recruited, this and that. There is no shortcut to be a 1%er, because there's only 1%ers that are up there. You have to outwork everybody. You have to D1, be that person in all categories. it is not a talent layer. The best of the best are not in D1. There's exceptional athletes in D2. I'm down here in Texas with the winners every year of D2 and D3. I mean, it's incredible the level of talent down here. It is about the fit academically and for 40 years. And that's where people are mistaken. They're driving towards being on the worst D1 team in the country to say they're D1, and it's a horrific experience. It's not a D1 experience. So I am very neutral, but I am very heavy on the Division One results because it is who I'm associated with. It's the people that I run with. I run with that echelon. I'm at those bigger, better tournaments. And your coach, yes, they're going to help you. But if you're putting your travel ball coach in charge of your recruiting 100%, that's a lot of responsibility. And it's honestly not fair to them. Because as you know, as a coach, the hardest thing is to keep a team together and keep the quitters from quitting, and and to create the right level of exposure and experience for them. That's a full-time job, and yet you're all married with children and family, and you're missing your own kids' games. I think the parents that are not involved in the actual formation of teams and getting through the system, they need us worse than the coaches do, because you have your relationships. We're just going to multiply your relationships. It's not a he did it or she did it. And I've had coaches say, well, I had a mom say it the other day, oh, well, you didn't get that connection for us. Well, little does she know, I sure did. But I'm not going to sit there and toot my own horn and say, well, okay, then how'd your kid get there? Oh, she came and saw us at a tournament. How'd she get there? All of those things we're pretty humble about, because we've really mastered the marketing part of getting coaches to see you play.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we're about out of time here, Cheri. I know
I heard the bell.
I could sit here and talk to you for another
And
4
likewise,
hours.
I just mentioned a whole bunch of categories that we could build, content for, and I have. It's up on my media page. I've got Twitter lives. I've got, just go look at my TikTok every day. I think something rings my bell every day. So it's there. It's there.
Yeah. Well, do me a quick favor, and obviously, coaches and parents alike, you can DM Cheri through our Drill Masters Elite community. But also, why don't you throw your handles out there, because I know
Wonderful.
you've got a big presence.
I love social media. I should have created it. No, our Twitter is at CSA_athletes. Our website is collegiatesportsadvocate.com. Twitter, I think I'm Collegiate Sports Advocate. I know on Instagram, I'm collegiate_advocate, sports_advocate. They didn't make it easy for me. But if you go to our main page, scroll to the very bottom, you'll see all of my connections. And I love me some TikTok. I'm real on TikTok. But, at some point, I'm wondering what it takes to get people to make the phone call and engage, because unless you quit our service, we have never not completed the transaction with offers in their hand. We've had some that I had a couple that said, no, I'd just rather go to the school of my choice. Tell me that up front, because I think that's the wrong path, and that's okay. But I think that's the wrong path. I would not take kids up there if their back door is, well, we'll just go wherever we want to go if it doesn't work out. That's not what being a student athlete's about. So I'm very particular about who I take on. I look at the layers of the sport, their involvement. I listen to what the parents say. And there is a contact CSA button. If you fill out a little information and tell me where you heard about me, I will personally call you. I have 7 advocates across the country, but we're very select there also. We don't want just anybody representing our company. So
very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Cheri.
thank you, JT.